This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Doc Thompson On Demand.
Doc Thompson at 700 WLW. Hopefully give you $1,000 coming up in just a couple of minutes. We'll be talking about the Super Committee. They're not going to get it done. I don't know if anybody really expected them to get it done. I think it was mainly smoke and mirrors so people could take cover and not actually have to face their constituents. Instead, they can just go back and go, I wanted to do it. I wanted to get it done, but those bastards over there stopped me. It doesn't matter who those bastards are, the Democrats or Republicans. They stopped me. You know I'm in it for you. I'm one of you. I'm a simple man just like you, just trying to make a living for my family on Capitol Hill. Nathan Bacharach joins me now. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Would you say that's probably about right?
Yeah, no, you're right on, man. I mean, it's and the best part of this was, if you want to have some comedy out of this, because
it's so heavy.
Well, it beats crying.
Yeah.
Would be that they said to themselves, "Okay, do we trust ourselves? Nah. Well, could we do this without some big sword over our head? Nah. Could we do what's right for the American people for once?
No.
So we'll put in these great big cuts that have to take place because with that'll force us to finally do the right thing. I thought $15 trillion in debt might be a good motivator. Nah.
No. But the other thing is, too, these cuts across the board also give them cover if they kick in. So if you're, Republican who stereotypically backs, big defense, then you could go back to your district and go, listen, I didn't want those big defense contracts cut or big budget cuts. I didn't want them cut. We're cutting local businesses who are supplying to them. It was the deficit committee who didn't reach a deal that made that happen. And the same thing with the Democrats. If you go back to your district, people say, what's with the big cuts in some of the social programs and entitlements? Well, you know what? I didn't want that. It's just the super committee didn't get it done. It wasn't me. It was the super committee. That's the other part of it. It's not just cover, individually during, these huge debates and back and forth. And it's back in their districts where they may end up cutting some things that affect you because it's your job. If you've got somebody who supplies something or is connected with something in the federal government, defense contracts, it's going to end up hurting you.
Be the 20th nationwide caller now to 1-877-565-WINS to score $1,000 in Doc's Money Shot. 1-877-565-WINS on 700 WLW, the big one.
All right, so what's going to happen today, Nathan? If they don't get this done, I see the markets are already off just a little bit.
Yeah, well, a little bit. Well, you're right.
Bit.
A 1 or 2% swing at this. You realize that the market moves more in a day than people would hope to get in a CD in a year. I mean, theoretically, if you invested tomorrow morning, you've got a 50-50 shot that you'll make more or lose more in a day than you would get from a certificate of deposit at a bank or credit union. That's how crazy the world has been.
I can save myself some time, have a little fun. I'll just go over to Hollywood Casino.
You could do that too.
Put it all on the hard 8.
Yeah, well, it could get real hard before the day is out. No, what's going to happen right now is that nothing's going to happen because what we learned the last time we blew it was that remember when you took a test in high school and then you get like a 65 and you look at your buddy to the left and he got a 55 and you go, oh boy, we got to go home and explain this to our parents. And then the teacher would go, I know it was a tough test. So we're grading on a curve. Doc, you got a B+, and your guy next to you, he got a B-. And you go, oh, great, man. So that's when you learn the bell curve and grading on a curve, and all of a sudden you go, oh, this is great. Okay, so what's going to happen is that probably once the markets think about it for a little bit, they'll go, okay, so they're not doing so good in America, but, we could go invest in Europe because they're doing better. No. Okay, so maybe we'll go over to the developing countries, which are dependent on the 500 million people in Europe to buy stuff.
That's not so good.
That's not so good. So maybe we'll go over then and talk to China, which might have to actually put up some money to keep Europe going, because otherwise a billion pissed Chinese, And by the way, you learn a lot about a country when you see what they keep in as their strategic reserve. Here, we think oil is the most important thing.
Right.
So we have a strategic reserve. In China, it's rice. Because a billion people who can't eat,
that's trouble.
Your democracy is toast. Okay.
I might be able to walk somewhere for a little while and not drive, but if I don't eat today.
Yeah. So everybody else is doing worse than we are, and so we become the best-looking pig in the slop house. And so by virtue of that, who would have thought that the last time when we got downgraded, that people would rush to buy Treasury bonds, that they would rush to buy, invest, if you will, in America, that we are the safest mattress in the world, that they're now more concerned with the return of their money than they are concerned with the return on their
money.
Yeah.
So it's investing on the curve. That's what it is.
Yeah. This is the dog ate my homework, and you went to school, and you said, well, the dog ate my homework, and my brother threw up all over my backpack, and I don't have anything here to show you this morning, teacher. And I didn't do my homework, but
I'm better than that guy.
Oh yeah, because he's a wreck. And so the chances are we're going to get over this. The news that's really disturbing this morning was the developing markets, mostly in Asia, said, well, something, at the rates you guys are slowing down in the developed world, we could see a substantial 10 to 15 to 20% decline in our productivity and what things we can sell. And that is driving the market right now more than anything else, because there's not really any surprises here, other than the fact that we're going to have to eventually look. Let me make it. The show's called Simply Money, not Complexly Money.
Right.
So let's talk about it for a minute. What are we dealing with here? 85% of the U.S. government budget I can describe in 3 words.
Yes.
Defense, old people. Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Now, if I know there are things that get people's emotions going like just nobody's business.
That Department of Education, that Department of Energy, what are they doing? It's only a small amount by percentage.
Right. Now, I understand that the EPA may be small, but they can create great problems and frustrations for business. But by and large, when we get down to the hard dollars right now, it's defense and it's old people, and we got 10,000. Now they're not retiring because they can't. First off, we got 70 million people going to retire in the next 18 years.
It's about, what is 10,000 a day?
10,000. You're absolutely right. It's 10,000 a day, Doc. And the question, and of course, there just came a new statistic that 80 has become the new 65. That over 25% of those people who make between $25,000 and $99,000. This is a Wells Fargo study. 25% of them already say, I got to work till age 80. Because I'm going to expect to live longer than that, which won't happen, by the way, I'm going to need to work that long because I cannot support my standard of living based on what I've put aside. The average person, when you take the ones who got $1 million and the ones who have nothing, the average balance of money that you can use to supplement your retirement right now is a whopping $25,000.
I have an aunt who's just over 80, and she's still working.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's fun for her coworkers. But she's still working. My mom is over 70 and still working, and she's from a generation where people were retiring a lot earlier than that.
And let's get real. When you go vacation in Florida and you pull up in the drive-through window at McDonald's and there's somebody there with gray hair, they're not doing it for the social interaction anymore, sports fans.
They just like being around French fries. That's all
right.
It is.
They love the smell of grease first thing in the morning.
That's all it is. Okay, so let's look at the numbers here. And I know people have complained about the national debt for years.
Right.
When it got to $5 trillion, oh my golly, $5 trillion. Then it double digits, it's $10 trillion. We are now at $15 trillion in national debt. Every year, our deficits over the last couple of years have been about $1.5 trillion, 1.4, 1.6, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what's a couple of $100 billion between friends?
Isn't it amazing how it's become just like nothing?
It's a couple of
Enron, remember Enron? A couple, 150, 250 million, whatever it was. Oh my God!
My God!
It's rounding error.
We're talking trillions now. We're likely to add as much as $10 trillion over the next 10 years. Could be more than that if the deficits continue yearly like they are. We've got tens of trillions in unfunded liabilities down the road, and they're talking about cutting $1.2 trillion that they can't get done.
And they couldn't get it done.
That's not a good rest, because at some point it's going to be so big. Maybe we can get to 50 trillion in debt before it's a problem. Maybe 200, but at some point that's going to be a problem.
It already is a problem. The only reason that it isn't is because everybody else, we now come to find out, has been doing the same things that we have done. And again, I can give you a simple answer to that. We have spent money on things that we couldn't afford. Right? There you go.
That's it.
And whether the government did it on things that we couldn't afford, whether it was a social program or military hardware or whatever it happened to be.
Right, forget the politics. It's just we spent too much money.
Right, and we didn't have it. And now, I remember when I traveled I was in Spain, and somebody said, oh, you have to go see this park. This is the Gaudi Park. Is the most amazing park in all of Spain. And I went there, and I'm looking at the crumbling curbs, and the grass, wasn't forget green. It was a lot of dirt, and, it's a real cool view of Barcelona. But I'm thinking, this place is a dump, in the grand scheme of things. And, eventually we're just going to find that the things that we used to like, the green grass and the curbs and everything else, that's going to wind up, we're going to be starting to look like some of those second world countries.
It'll be a little bit different. Okay, let's put this into perspective, because I know I can't even comprehend a million.
Right.
I mean, I get to a couple 100,000 and I don't know what I try to keep it in my head. Billions, hundreds of billions, and trillions are gone.
1,000 million is a billion. It's
1,000 million. And have you ever seen any of the pictures where they stack up $100 bills?
Oh, great.
And you see it, and it's, a foot by foot cube
Doesn't
or something is a million. And then you see, a whole warehouse is
so here's a Simply Money do-it-yourself guide, all right, to astound your friends on how well you, so you can now say, I listened to Doc Thompson this morning. Now I got it. Yes. Now I know I was screwed.
Yes.
I didn't figure it out before.
Got it now.
All right, here you go. So we take in about $2 trillion, and they call it revenue. It's taxes, and we spend $3.6 billion. That's what's going out for all the things that we can't afford. All right, and we've got now roughly 15 trillion. Did I say trillion? These are all in trillions.
Yes.
$2 trillion of revenue, 3.6 trillion of expenses, 15 trillion in debt. And then we say to these guys, okay, can you cut out the equivalent of, 385 to 500 billion a year, maybe? Okay, now, why would a rating agency want to downgrade us or look at us differently? And you look at those numbers, I don't know. So let's take off 9 zeros. That's all. We're just going to take off 9 zeros.
To make it easier to understand. Put it in our lives.
Right. You don't even need to write this down on a piece of paper. If you're driving, you can do this in your head. This is grocery.
This one's easy.
This is grocery store math. Okay?
This is what we do every day.
That's right. That's what I say. And we don't have any paper in front of us. No man behind the curtain. Here we go. All right. Your budget, you earn $20,000.
This would be like if you compared it to our life with the federal, it's like you owning $20,000 a year.
Absolutely. You make $20,000, which might be what they pay Lindsay to run around here crazy all day, or
it's about what they pay me. But right.
You spend $36,000 a year,
substantially more, almost double,
right. Substantially more. You have a credit card balance with your local bank of $150,000. That's what you've been racking up. You're going to put on another $15,000 in debt. So at the end, we come back a year from now, your $150,000 credit card debt is going to be $165,000. And you walk into the banker and you say, look, I need to raise my credit line. Or a debt ceiling, but we'll call it your credit line on your credit card by about another, $15,000. And you say, but you know something? I sat down with my wife last night.
We got serious about debt.
Oh, God, we got serious. And you know something? We found about between $500 and $1,000 we can take out of the budget next year.
Excellent. So we still need that $15,000, but we can cut about $500, maybe $600, $700, something like that.
And now, in this case, you're going to divorce court because you're a Republican, your wife's a Democrat, or vice versa. And when you sat down and had a conference committee, knowing that you were going to have to cut the budget that the kids were going to, not go to school or not get fed.
No food, right.
Right. And you finally said, well, we can't do it. So here, Mr. Banker, you tell us where to cut. That's where we are.
Wow. Well, I think that lays it out. Hopefully it's things that people can understand as they go through their regular life. We get caught up in the big numbers like that, but that's pretty simple. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Come back with Nathan Backrack on 700 WLW. Doc Thompson on the big one, 700 WLW. My guest, Nathan Backrack from Simply Money on 55 KRC, weeknights 6 to 7, the talk station. Appreciate you joining me, sir, and laying this all out.
Our pleasure.
You live this every day. I got to imagine, though, is you know that it's basically the economy on the curve. That's got to be kind of difficult to direct people what they should be doing with their money, because you recognize it's all by comparison, right? I mean, it's all by those people aren't as bad as us.
Well, not only is it that those people aren't as bad as us, but sometimes you have to. For me, I don't have the luxury of being political. It doesn't matter whether I'm a Republican or a Democrat. I mean, it really doesn't. Nobody comes in and says, well, because you're a this, I'm going to invest with you. Not relevant, because at the end of the day, money is green. So I'm not red or blue, to use the two color codes for politics. I'm green because I've seen these guys do stupid things. I've made money with Republicans in office. I've made money with Democrats in office. And what you do is, because I was once a city planner, and what I learned in my public policy course was very simple. Everything that happens in government, you look at it's very simple. Somebody pays and somebody benefits. Somebody's ox is always being gored. Follow the money. Here is going to be the toughest thing for all of us to really kind of swallow. If the Europeans decide to start printing money, as we did.
And printing money is basically, in order to pay the debt, you just you print money and say, here's the money to pay my debt. But
you print money.
Every dollar is worth a little bit less than, theoretically.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But in the short term, the money gets out and around.
Then you paid your debts.
Okay. And look what happened to the United States. We decided in 2008 that the banks had to exist. We couldn't have capitalism without the banks. So we're going to fortify the banks. And we put a lot of money into the banks. Great. They didn't lend any of it, so we haven't had any inflation because it's still sitting around. And their reserves are better, and they're supposedly healthier if you forget about mortgages and bad home loans. But they're better. But some of it got out, and it got spent. And even a dying patient, if you give him a blood transfusion, will get some color for a while.
For a little bit, right.
Well, that was 2009,
Okay,
all right? So the money gets flying around. Oh, my goodness, the economy's doing great. Listen, in March of 2009, if we had polled every listener to the Doc Thompson show and said, well, you think the economy's going to do great next year? They're going, are you kidding me? We're going to get hosed. We're going down the toilet.
Right.
And then it goes up by 25%. You go, what? How'd that happen? Well, because money was flying around. Now, corporations, and they really should get a medal for this, corporations have played this game the way you would expect the founders of capitalism to play it. They've got more money stuffed away. Almost $2.2 trillion is sitting in corporate bank accounts because they don't have a good way to spend it. They don't have anything to do with it, all right? So they got it, and now they're a lot stronger than they were before. The man on the street's gone, I'm screwed, because we know that since the end of the recession, if you got a job, you're earning 17.5% less than the job you lost. All right, that's very tough. But the money flies around for a while. Now, what does all that have to do with Europe?
Right.
All right. Here's what it has to do with Europe. You watch. They got two choices. They can blow up, which is not really an option, though they would like to talk about it. Listen, they love to throw Greece out. Well, guess what, bozos? Who brought them in? Yeah. They love to get rid of Spain. Spain is in no better shape than they were when they came in. Who let them in? Italy. You let them borrow $2.2 trillion. Only two companies in the universe have borrowed more money than Italy, Japan, and the United States. If they go under, there's not enough money in Europe to fund them. So can they let them go under? No, they can't let them go under. So what are they going to do? They, believe it or not, hold your nose on this one. If you're listening, I'm telling you, pull off the road, because what I'm about to say, they're going to do the same thing in Europe that we did here. Geithner went over there a couple months ago and said, hey, guys, let me tell you how to get out of a bailout. And by the way, we're good at bailouts. We bailed out the SNLs in the mid-'80s.
We know how to do it.
We are the best at bailouts, okay? Like it or not, Geithner said to him, hey, print a lot of money. Everything will be fine. So guess what? They're going to print a lot of money. Now, you're going to sit around and go, well, my job sucks and this and that. Guess what? When they print the money for 6 or 9 or 10 months, Europe's market will go up. And you know what? If you want to hold your nose, that would be a piece of investment advice. Then, by the way, when the financial sugar high wears off,
the other shoe will drop.
Yeah. Nathan
Baccarat, appreciate you joining me, sir. He's from 55 KRC. Their Simply Money program, 6 to 7. Have a great day.
You too, man.
Stock Thompson, 700 WLW. Stock Thompson at 700 WLW. I was talking with Nathan off the air, and that I'm getting married in February, and he was going down a bunch of marital advice from the financial perspective. He said, have you exchanged credit reports? And we didn't officially do it as a ceremony where we both pulled them up, but we did talk about both of them, and we know what our financial situation is, the amount of debt and credit and everything else. But we've been dating 4 years. He said, you'd be shocked the number of people that don't do that. And like I said, I didn't think about doing it. I didn't set out to do it. It's just we've had conversations over 4 years where, the stuff all came to light. We talked about, how we'll structure the different things in our life, checking account and credit cards and retirement and all that stuff. But so I said, give me some more, some practical advice, because after the first of the year, I'm going to start looking for some practical advice about marriage. Oh, for me, but for anybody else too. Real specific ideas to help people out. Some little tips. And he already gave me a couple. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to start the website early. I'm going to go ahead and put it on my blog at 700WLW.com in the next day or so. Just soliciting some practical advice about marriage for all sectors of marriage. Financial, kids, everything. How to deal with the in-laws. All of those things I hope to put up soon. I was amazed at the statistic. I just cannot believe it. I knew it was going to be significant. I had no idea how significant it was going to be. And that is the number of people that do not think that stores should be opened on Thanksgiving. Well, because last week we had that nutty guy in Omaha start petitioning Target because he didn't want to work on Thanksgiving. He works at Target and said Target shouldn't be open because they're going to open like 10 p.m. on Thanksgiving night. And he said, if I have to go into work, that means I have to go into work early. Like, okay, that's 9 o'clock. You can have dinner by. Well, I'll be sleeping then. I sleep before he goes to work. All right, yeah. I guess you do got to get some sleep. So he's all ticked off. He starts this petition. 100 plus whatever thousand people nationwide sign the petition. How dare you open on Thanksgiving? And what's the big deal? Don't go there if you don't, or don't work there. It seemed very simple to me. The statistic is 87% of the people surveyed said, do not open on Thanksgiving. 87% of the people said stores should not open on Thanksgiving. That number, staggering to me. I know what it is, though. I lost part of it. I think there are a lot of very reasonable older people when it comes to business and understand business is business. You don't want to work, don't work there, work somebody else, whatever. People that are very hard workers, that work their entire life, that maybe even serve their country. People who have an old school mentality that says you go and work, that signed the petition. Why would they sign it? Most of the time, these are people who would say, no, get out and work, you're too soft. And I agree with them. They sign it, though, because that's not how things used to be. See what happened? The people that are older that say, go out and work hard, get a job, quit bitching, do what you got to do, knuckle down, nose to the grindstone, shoulder to the wheel. Great attitudes, absolutely. Say, we never used to be open on Thanksgiving, don't open on Thanksgiving. It's more about tradition for them. So you got a bunch of those people. Then you, of course, got the nutty people that are saying don't open on Thanksgiving because they have that occupier mentality of, why should I have to work? I want to be with my family. How come the 1% isn't working? Which quite often the 1% does work, maybe not officially going into the store or stocking shelves, but they're doing paperwork or whatever on the computer. They're working as well. Or maybe not. But that jealousy, the envy, that's a part of it as well. 87%. I'm going to do a quick, I think I'm going to do a flash survey here. I just go down the lines and ask people whether or not they should be open and see what our percentage is. Prior to seeing this, I would have bet it would say 40% of the people saying don't open. 513-749-7000, 800, the big one, pound 700 on AT&T. Should retail shops, should they open on Thanksgiving? Should they be open at all on Thanksgiving? I'm just going to run down the lines when we come back and get your take on it. It's Doc Thompson, 700 WL. Doc Thompson at 700 WLW. I guess I just look at stuff like this, kind of like I look at legalizing pot, texting while driving. Be responsible. If you're not, go your own way. If you are, go your own way. If you don't want the stores open, if that offends you, don't shop. Isn't that your choice? But doesn't that allow people who are okay with it for them to shop? If you don't want to actually go to work that day, then don't work there. It always seemed very simple to me. Seems common sense, but I'll bet most people disagree. According to the study I saw, 87%. We're going to find out if that holds true. Do a quick flash survey here, 513-749-7800, the big one, pound 700 on AT&T. Should stores be open on Thanksgiving? Bill, how are you?
Doing good, sir.
Should they be open? Thank you. I appreciate it. Should they be open?
Well, I think that's kind of a two-sided coin now to heard your other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just know I have family that I don't want to say they're forced to work, but they almost kind of have to, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm kind of old school. I'm not that old. I'm 55. But it was just kind of nice when people knew that they had a few days out of the year where we could stop and reflect. And I think Easter, Christmas, and Thanksgiving, I don't want to say off limits. I don't want to make it sound like it's a government controlled and everything.
I know what you're saying.
People should have a choice. But I don't know. I think it would be nice if everybody just took a day and just took a deep breath.
Gun to the head, then don't open them.
Oh, no, not that severe.
No, I mean, I'm saying if I had to force you an answer, you say yes or no, open them or not? No.
Do not.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's go to Dave in Columbus. What do you think? Should the stores be open or no?
Keep them closed, Doc.
Keep them closed. See what I'm saying? This is incredible to me. Already 2 no's. Let's go to Rana in Milford. Stores open or closed on Thanksgiving? What do you say?
Tradition. Keep them closed.
Keep them closed. Look at that. 3 out of 3 for closed. Mika, Blue Ash, should the stores be open on Thanksgiving?
Well, I think they
Micah.
should. And the thing is out of all those 87% of people who said they should be closed, these stores aren't opening up for no one to shop there. A portion of that 87% is going to be out shopping.
It's not just 13% that's out there shopping.
I mean, some of those 87% of people are going to be there. They're not opening up for no one to show up. And the other thing is I'd rather be working on Thanksgiving, and this goes to your new marriage thing that you're talking about. Right now, I got to go to 3 different families for Thanksgiving. You know what? Let me clock in and take that day at work. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's your excuse then. Oh, honey, I'd love to. I'd love to, but I got to work. You know that. The boss, what a jerk.
I got to put gas in that car for you to go to everybody else's house for Thanksgiving.
So open or closed?
Oh, open, man. Open. Free economy, baby.
All right, Mike. Appreciate the common sense. Thank you so much. We got Mike in Mason. Open or closed on Thanksgiving?
Close them up. 363 days is enough for shopping.
All right, thank you so much. It's incredible to me. I just had no idea there'd be that much of a resistance. Is it Shaz? Shah, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. What do you think? Keep the stores open or close them up?
Well, to all the naysayers, you know what? You are whiners and babies. Keep them open year-round, 365.
All right, so that's how I say. If you want to go and shop, you'll do it. And if you are not, think about the other stores that are open on very religious holidays for maybe smaller religions in America, religions that don't, command the amount of attention, respect, whatever that Christianity does. Their stores are open on their holidays, right? Dan, Tri-County, stores open or closed on Thanksgiving?
Close those bad boys. I love money just as much as everybody else, but man, talk about squeezing a dollar.
But isn't this
some time off?
Isn't this creating jobs though? More hours.
Goodness. Come on, let everybody go home, sing Kumbaya, eat some turkey, fall asleep in front of the TV. That's the good life.
All right, buddy, appreciate it. Thanks so much. Matt and Dayton, stores open or closed for Thanksgiving?
Hey, I'm a capitalist. The stores can be open if they want, but should it be? I mean, who out there is going to say that it would not suck to have to work Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July, these types of things? Do you like mom-and-pop stores?
Married men, to answer your question. Those are the ones who'd say it would not suck.
Yeah,
Married men have to go to the in-laws' house. Mom-and-pop stores, sure. What's the problem with mom-and-pop stores?
No, I like them too. I personally despise these big box stores, and consequently, I try to spend my dollars, even if I have to pay a bit more at the smaller retailers. These big box stores come in, they put the mom and pop stores out of business, and you got no choice as to where to work. For some people, I don't have to work on Thanksgiving or Christmas. I'm fortunate in this way, but it's a sign of our culture degrading. I think in the past, everybody would be home with their families, nobody would be open because these big box stores didn't exist.
All right, well, I will put that down as a no, do not open. We got Angie in Milford, open or close?
Closed.
Do you ever go into those really early morning shopping on Black Friday?
No, I don't. I think it's crazy.
No, you just, even like 6, 8 a.m., you're never out for those ones?
No, I sleep the day after Thanksgiving. That's the time to do it.
All right, I understand that. Yeah, Black Friday has become a tradition. You go out the day after Thanksgiving, right? You head on out there. So you start going out at 6 a.m. to get the better deals. Maybe 4. Some stores offer better ones. We've just gotten to the point that it's 10 o'clock now on Thursday. Matt in Batavia, you're on the big one. Keep them open or shut them up.
I say we keep them open. I mean, I think that's our choice. I mean, think about years ago, everything used to be closed on Sundays, but the economy allows people to shop on Sundays now. Why can't they be open if they're making money? Why not be open?
That's a great point. I was fortunate enough a few years back to go to Rome for a few days, spend some time there, and unfortunately, day one was. See how we did this right. If it was a Saturday, we got there like on a Saturday. Late Saturday night, we break our camera. And my fiance was just really unhappy about that. She wanted a bunch of pictures. So we said, well, we'll reluctantly go purchase a camera on Sunday. There's nothing open. We finally walked to a flea market in the south part of Rome, out there scavenging for any type of camera. Nothing was open. They're still not open. Let's go to Richard in Cincinnati. Keep them open or shut them up.
I think they should be closed, but at the same time, for a lot of retailers, they're almost forced to be open because their competitors were opening earlier.
So you just start the ball rolling, and then they all have to follow suit.
Yeah, once Walmart starts opening at midnight, everyone else has to start opening at midnight. Now Walmart's opening at 10, so next year everyone else is going to open at 10.
Yeah, and then it'll be 5 o'clock on Thursday. Right after you finish your turkey, they'll say, Richard, you stop on down.
It's going to end with them just opening at 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday.
I think, you know what it'll be? It'll just be nonstop. They'll say, Wednesday, we normally close at 6 o'clock in the evening or 8 o'clock, whatever it is, whatever their normal hours are. We're now just going to stay open. We're going to roll on through Black Friday, roll on through Thanksgiving all the way to Black Friday. That's what I think's coming. I'm going to give you a list of some of the stores that are actually open and tell you their times as well as some more calls. You see how many people are opposed to it? We'll get to them next. 700 WLW. Doc Thompson at 700 WLW. Should stores be open on Thanksgiving? I am amazed that so many people are bothered by it. I like tradition too, but if you want to be open, open. If you want to shop, shop. If you don't, you don't. George in Northern Kentucky, should the stores be opened the day after or on Thanksgiving leading into Black Friday?
That's less what I'm concerned about. I don't like the term Black Friday. I think it's racist.
The term Black Friday is racist? You don't like the term?
No, because, I know the history of it.
What do you think the history of Black Friday is, George?
Well, look, first of all, I got to give you a little bit of background. I grew up in the South, so I guess I'm kind of hypersensitive to racial epithets and everything else. Black Friday. What
do you think the history of Black Friday is? You said you know the history. What is the history of Black Friday?
Well, during families in the South going into the winter seasons and everything else didn't need as much help from slaves, so the Friday after Thanksgiving they would generally sell off lots of slaves, so they didn't have extra mouths to feed and everything.
You actually believe this? This is what you believe, George. You believe that it is racist because slaves were sold the day after Thanksgiving. Where did you possibly learn this? Did you go to public schools?
Yes.
And this was taught to you?
Yes.
George, that's not what Black Friday means. It's stores and companies get into the black because they make most of their money.
Where did you grow up?
In Ohio.
Okay, so you didn't have the history of racism, everything else in the South like we did. So we went over all this so many times to make sure that.
So in your mind, throughout your entire life, when people talk about the day after Thanksgiving being Black Friday, you think they're talking about black meaning black people. That's what you've thought your whole life.
I know that it's changed now, and we call it Black Friday because of the sale, but you have to understand where it originally came from, and it was about selling extra black help off during the winter time.
That's not where it came from, George.
Yes,
that has nothing to do with it.
Yes, it did.
So I guess White Christmas means when white people used to control America and blacks were slaves. Is that what White Christmas means too? Is that what that means?
No. Now you're just overplaying it.
I'm not overplaying it. You're wrong about. All right, I'm going to let you go, George. That's it. Does this not illustrate how we need reform in public schools? Does that not illustrate exactly what the problem is? I'll get some more of your calls if I can make it through the news break. Coming up, the home of the best Bengals coverage, 700 WLW.